Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seattle Across the Pond, a sports podcast about the important things in sports. My name is Ankit Madira, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Eric Imperio. Eric, how you doing?
Good. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. It is the morning when we record this. I'm doing well. I'm awake,
Good.
functioning, no longer have morning work.
Yeah, we no longer have to record when it's
At
still dark
obscene
outside.
hours of the day. I mean, look, if we record in 1 month at this time, it's still going to be dark outside.
Correct. But it won't feel crazy.
No, it'll just feel wrong.
Why is it dark? I don't know.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic when I used to do like whole weeks at a time in high school and sometimes even college where I just wouldn't see the sun.
It's especially high school. It's like, no sun for you.
Yeah, especially high school. College a little less so because we had to like walk to our classes.
Yeah. And you're like, there's sunshine.
It's like, oh my goodness. But like high school, it was like I would get there at like 6:30 in the morning, right? So definitely dark. And then after whatever club or whatever I had, I would leave at like 4:30 in the afternoon and there would be no sun.
No sun.
Yeah. Like, no sun for you.
I'd be like practicing for a sport and it would be dark. And it's like, this is after school practice.
I played tennis, which was in the fall, and so I never had that issue. But like we would have like, rehearsal for whatever random theater show I might have been in, and like rehearsal would end at like 4:30 and it would just be dark. Or like I would have like rocketry club, or like in between the time of school ending and getting to tennis practice, it would become dark.
Yes.
I'd be like, what?
Yes.
Anyway, it is not dark. It is lovely and, well, gray.
Gray.
Not dark. So I say we jump straight into the locker room because we have quite a bit of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Lovely. And in the locker room, Eric, anything to tell the people? Anything going on?
Going on a short weekend trip down to California again. Hopefully see Joshua Tree and the parks down there. So.
Who's Joshua Tree?
Oh, it's a national park down there in California by LA.
Oh,
pretty like popular one that I see on social media a lot. So check it out.
Okay. Yeah, my social media is filled with nerdy things.
Yeah, mine is either sports, national parks, or Marvel.
Yeah, mine tends to be Lord of the Rings, Pokemon, sports,
Nice.
D&D.
Okay. Those are still great choices of Instagram feed. I wouldn't be mad.
I'm not upset about my feed right now.
No.
Every now and again, I'm like, why? And then I have to refresh my feed.
Yes.
So, anyway, lovely. That sounds fun. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for me, same thing. I got a show happening for one weekend in October 11th through the 13th. It's a very fun show. It's called Within a Show. And tickets should be live soon. Hopefully, I will let you all know as soon as they are. We'll make a post on the Instagram about it as well. But if you're in the Seattle area, come check it out. If you're not in the Seattle area and you are interested in checking it out, there should be a live stream link that you can join in on. So if you are interested, we will also include that. Or shoot us a DM on socials, and we will make sure that link gets passed on to you. So thank you for your support. Very much appreciated. It'll be a very fun show. Other than that, just over on Co-op Forge, we still got our lovely episodes of Post Finale and Flip Scripts coming out. Post Finale, if you're listening to this the day that it comes out, then we are back talking about the 4th Barbie movie, and it's Barbie Mariposa, and it's a time. And if you are listening to Flip the Scripts the day after this comes out, we are talking about the Reptile Room and the series of unfortunate events and the Netflix series and how that adaptation all works. So go check it out. Very, very fun episodes coming out over there. And follow us on social media, co-op_OPFORGE on all the platforms, and SATP Sports on Instagram. And if you like what you see and you want some bonus content and you want to help support the show so that we aren't in the red while we're making the show, then please head over to patreon.com/coopforge. The link is also down in the description. Signing up for any of the tiers, you get different types of bonus content based on which tier you sign up for. And we greatly appreciate it. And even if you don't sign up, that's completely fine. Just keep listening to the episodes. That is plenty of support and helping us out that way. And just word of mouth, sharing it with a friend. That is the best way to help this podcast grow. So thank you all to anyone who does do that or anyone who has already done that. And I say we get into the episode.
Yes, let's do it.
Wonderful. Eric, what's happening in the world of Seattle sports?
All right, quickly. Obviously, Kraken and Blazers are doing nothing. It's off season and it's right before training camps, so they don't do a lot of moves yet. But if you're curious, Kraken start officially the season on October 8th, and the Blazers officially start the season on October 23rd. That's it for them. We'll keep reminding you. Mariners, I'm going to say the season's probably over. They're 4 games back from the wild card and 4.5 games back from the Astros.
Oof.
As of today.
That's not good.
And I think there's like 15 games left in the season, maybe. I don't have the exact number. I'd say the season's over. Luis Castillo's also on 15-day IL. It's not looking good. But, I mean, we fire your coach not even mid-season. At the end of the season, what do you expect? There's kind of a reason why he did it.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah. They're still, since they fired their coach, they're above 500. They've gone 8-7 since we last talked, and I think that means that there was 2 games he won prior, so he's doing okay. That's about it for the Mariners. Not really that exciting. They'll wrap up their season. We'll tell you how they did, and I think just move on to next year, kind of thing. They kind of indicated that with firing a coach.
Yeah. They would do that.
Yeah.
Do you want some good news?
I do want some good news.
I mean, my Cubbies are 8.5 games back in the Central in the NL against the Brewers. But I think that if I have my numbers right, they might still be vying for a potential wild card.
Okay.
But I might also have my numbers wrong, and I'd like to just live in the bliss that I have my numbers right.
Yes. If they make the wild card, I vote that this podcast will root for the Cubs.
Yay!
I don't think the Mariners are doing it.
I'd like to currently live in the bliss that I have my numbers right. I might have them wrong.
Yes. Moving on to the Sounders. They're 5th in the West now, so they've taken a win. However, in my notes here, I have they can beat a team without a goalie. Wow. Yes, and what happened here? Apparently, Columbus Crew had 1 goalie available. It was the 3rd-string goalie. I think another one was hurt, and another one got a red card. That goalie then proceeds to get a red card as well. And so they just had to send a random field player into goal, who that player has now played every position on the team for the year.
Hey, congrats, man.
Yes, congrats to him. And as you'd expect, we can score on a field player playing goalie. So
wow.
And while they're a man down.
I'd like to say that was a gimme. But based on how they played earlier this year, I don't know if that was a gimme.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a gimme. The Sounders have practically clinched the playoffs. It'll be quite hard to miss the playoffs.
Okay.
So they're not doing terrible. Even though my tone sounds like this team can't do anything right. I think I had this tone last year too, and you're like, wait, they're in the playoffs?
You had this tone last year, and they were like in the semifinals, and I was like, Eric, I'm so confused right now.
Like doing really well, yeah. I expect more from them. That's the problem. I'm used to European soccer where you are you have to be first or you're last, essentially. So when we're not first, I'm very upset. At least in soccer. So
that's fair. Premier League football, significantly better.
Yes. Hopefully,
the
I want
whole
MLS to be better
well.
eventually, but yeah,
the whole structure as well. You know, they have this whole concept of relegation, and if anyone's been listening to this podcast for a while, you will understand that relegation is important.
At the Carolina Panthers. Anyway.
Hey. Pool Floaty Panthers doing the best he can. If anyone's confused, go listen to our last episode.
Yeah. He's carrying the team. He's not even officially on the team, but he's carrying that team.
He's carrying the team. He's the only reason I care about that team.
Yes, them and their other 100 fans.
Look, let's be honest. The other 100 fans would also probably be more of a fan of Pool Floaty Panther.
Probably. I heard you could get 2 tickets for $1.80.
Yeah, I saw that. Dang. Yeah. Do you want to fly to California?
California? Oh, they're playing. Yeah,
no, but in Carolina?
Carolina, yeah. Yes. Yes. They are playing the Chargers. That's why I was like, oh, but I think that game's going to cost more.
Yeah, no. Not that game. I had it backwards.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, back to the Sounders. There's 6 games left. They play on Sunday against Sporting Kansas City. Hopefully they can win that game. Hopefully they can win a couple of games and just stay in a decent playoff spot and probably get into form. If they get into form, I won't be upset. Like if they win 3 of these games, draw 1, I'll be like, yeah, cool. We're ready for playoffs. Other than that, they have not fired their coach yet, so we're doing okay. We have at least one team is safe from the firing, or 2 teams, I would say, are safe from the firing. We'll see. On the Seattle Reign, they have won 2 games since we last talked. Great. To move into 10th, moving up into that potentially trying to get the playoff spot. They need 2 more spots there. 2 wins, 2 spots. Maybe 2 wins will get you another 2 spots. I don't know. Again, remember, this coach said they'll never rebuild, so they better make the playoffs.
I don't know if sneaking into the playoffs at the very end constitutes for not needing a rebuild.
I don't know. Other than that, I'd say the big news in the NWSL would be that Alex Morgan retired.
Yeah, I'm surprised she retired mid-season.
Aren't they in the playoffs?
Yes.
She's like, I don't want to play the playoffs.
Well, I mean, I think she also is pregnant again and was like, hey, I'm going to retire.
She is, yes.
And so fair play, right? You take care of yourself, take care of your body, take care of your future.
Correct. Actually, we are so wrong. They are missing the playoffs worse than us. They're 12th.
That's impressive.
That's fair. Yes. They're just not making it.
It's hard to be worse than us.
There's 4 other teams worse than us.
Hey, we were in that last place spot for a good month and a half, if not longer.
If not the whole season.
Fair. I do know that the Seattle Storm clinched a playoff berth.
They have clinched a playoff berth solidly. I looked it up. They have 100% chance of making the playoffs, for anybody curious.
Woo.
Tonight, when we're recording this, so before this airs, they're playing LA in LA. The next home game will be Sunday the 15th, so that would be this Sunday, against LA at home. Go check it out, guys. That's basically it. Yeah, they're third. They went 3-3 since we last talked, so not great, but not bad.
No, but also hey, you've clinched the playoff berth. Try to keep your seeding as high as possible, but also at the same time, it's hey, make sure you're not getting hurt. You want to be healthy going into that playoff run.
Correct. 5 games remaining. Let's see how they do.
Yeah.
And saving the Seahawks for last. I went to the Seahawks game this weekend actually, so I have a little bit of. I watched the whole thing. I didn't have to watch highlights. I didn't miss anything.
Watched you watching the whole thing.
What?
So after I finished my rehearsal, I took the bus back to home, and I had to pass Lumen Field, and the game was happening while I was passing the field.
Fair.
And so I was like, I don't know where he is, but I saw fans actively.
There you go. There you go.
As I was coming back, and I heard a cheer happen. I thought it was
rare,
like,
so.
well, I thought it was like a touchdown or something, and then like I found out that it was probably just like a tackle.
Probably the first tackle we made all game, and we were happy. No, I'm hating on them a little too hard. We did get the W.
Yes,
we do move into first place. We are tied with the 49ers because it's the first week, so if we both win, we're tied. Anyway, we play Bo next. He came back. He came back to town. I guess he didn't really come back to town. I'm referring to Oregon as back to town.
Yeah.
Ignore me. He came back to the Pacific Northwest. Not a bad rookie performance, but also you were playing the Seahawks. So,
look, like that's the thing is like when he was playing the Seahawks, who have a very underrated secondary, I would say. A lot of people don't rank them very high.
Yeah.
Like we said in a previous episode, everyone just kind of forgets that we exist until we're starting to do good. And then people are like, oh, right, there's a team up there.
Right.
So, but like, I think Richard Sherman said this as well on his podcast. He was like, look, Bo Nix, like, you got to give him credit where credit's due. Like, yeah, he had some bad throws. He did some bad things that you shouldn't do. But also, he's playing against a very well-coached secondary, a very talented secondary in one of the most hostile environments in the NFL as their first game.
I mean, I think the advantage of your first game being the most hostile environment in the NFL is that you just think this is what the NFL is like. So now he's probably going to have an easier time going forward, I would assume.
Right. Like, and there are things that are coachable. Like, hey, Bo, when you see 3 blue jerseys around the 1 white one, don't throw it that direction.
Fair. I would say in my watching, even though Geno Smith had a better completion percentage while watching the game, I would say that Bo Nix had less teaching required, as Geno threw to an open defender.
Fair.
for an interception.
I mean, look, Bo's 2 interceptions. One was just like he threw it to his receiver, and Julian Love just made a great play.
Yes.
Like that one's not so much like it's like crap, like I threw a pick, but like. Julian Love also just made a really good play. The second one is like, hey, maybe don't throw it when there are more of the opponent's jerseys than our jerseys.
That was a little bit too much traffic. The first one was, a good play by Love. So, and Bo Nix had a rushing touchdown. There was no throwing touchdowns in the game, so can I really blame Bo Nix? I don't know. We'll see. He's still a rookie. Anyway, on to Geno. 1 rushing touchdown, no throwing touchdowns. A decent completion percentage, but again, with the interception, what are you doing? There was no one. If it had not been an interception, I think the call would have had to be a penalty or no intended receiver.
Intentional grounding.
Intentional grounding, yes. There was no one there. It was a wide open pass to the other team. I turned, my father-in-law was with me. I turned to him and was like, wow. And he said, well, at least the guy was wide open. Yes. Yes, nice. He was.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm wrong. Geno Smith did throw a throwing TD because Zach Charbonnet had a TD.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Charbonnet had a TD. Looked great. Lockett looked amazing. I don't remember if he was the one-handed catch or if it was Metcalf. One of them had a one-handed catch. Look at the highlights. It's incredible. Great. We had 2 sacks, which is awesome. Mafe and Hall. And then the only thing I was really, really disappointing, and I don't think I've seen this in professional football ever is that we had 2 safeties in one quarter.
Yeah, the last time apparently 2 safeties happened in a game was like in 2018.
Okay, so it has happened, but that's in a game.
It's rare.
Yeah, this was in a quarter.
Yeah. It's okay. We figured it out. Really is the tale of two halves.
Correct.
Hey, Pete Carroll might be gone, but the Seahawks still can't play the first half.
Correct. We
haven't figured that part out yet.
Not figured that out yet. It was looking very scary. I mean, the score at one point was 10-9. I don't know. It was a weird scoring.
I don't know.
But the O-line did struggle a lot. We did not have blocking, and that was kind of sad. So
fair.
That wraps up that. Oh, we move on next week to play the Patriots. It's gonna be a tough match. It's away. I likely think the Patriots are probably going to take us, but hopefully they can prove me wrong.
I like to think that the Seahawks have a chance against the Patriots, who just stomped the Bengals.
Yeah, at least not all of our points this week came from field goals at Pittsburgh, and we can sell tickets at Carolina.
Hey, I would gladly go to a Panthers game if I could get 2 tickets for $2.
I think it's actually cheaper to go to some games in Carolina, including flights, than go to the Seahawks games.
I'm free. Let's go. I'm free after my show in October.
We'll look at tickets.
I don't mind going and watching a crappy football team if it's a cheap ticket. We'll make a weekend out of it.
2 tickets for $1.80 and 2 flights for $100. Yeah, let's go.
It's like last minute. Hey, what do you need? A last minute ticket to Carolina.
Get to Carolina. Yes.
Yeah, lovely. All right, real quick before we jump into the rest of this episode, because oh boy, it is a doozy. I just have a couple of quick highlights from the Paralympics, because the Paralympics have been happening, ladies and gentlemen, and these athletes are also incredible, incredible athletes. I apologize for all the butchered names that are about to happen in advance. I'm going to try my best, and we're just going to rapid fire. I guarantee you I am going to miss some of the highlights, and if I do, it's not a dig. It's just I'm trying to get through as many as I can quickly. The athletes are amazing. Go check out the videos on YouTube. They are so talented.
Yes.
First up, Zakia Kudadi. Already doing great with the names. Kudadi won the first ever Paralympic medal for the refugee Paralympic team in Taekwondo, and she did so while her hero, Jackie Chan, was watching in the audience. So that was really cool for her. And then we also have Brazil's Julio Agrippino dos Santos won gold and set a world record in the men's T11 5,000 meter. I don't know what the T11 means, but the 5,000 meter. Woo. We also have Tunisia's Rakwa Tilly won her 5th consecutive shot put title in the women's shot put F41.
Nice. I'm assuming these letters and numbers refer to the disability type.
Maybe. I do not know. I wish I had better answers, but I believe that might be the case. So, Flor Zhang clinched the women's long jump T64, beating her own Paralympic record.
Oh.
Meanwhile, you have Jaden Blackwell, who won the men's 100 meter T38 final and set a world record of 10.64 seconds, because people are insanely fast. Mm-hmm. And Joel de Jong set a world record in the men's long jump T63 with a 7.68 meter jump. I mean, I just don't understand, short, jump insanely far. Lovely. Preeti Pal became the first Indian woman to win 2 Paralympic medals in athletics. So shout out to her. Nice. Sprinter Alessandro Ossola popped the question after he won gold. He said it's hard to compete and propose on the same night, but they were two things I was sure about. He won gold, and I'm pretty sure his wife also won gold in the regular Olympics.
Wow. Congrats on your engagement and congrats on your medals.
Yeah, congrats on just making everyone else feel inferior. Thank you.
We expect to see your children in the Olympics soon.
Yes. Team USA's Ezra Frech came first in the men's high jump T63. That's 2 gold medals in 2 days for him. So congrats to him. And then just a couple of more things here. We have South African duo Donald Ramfadi and Lucas Sithole became the first Africans to medal in wheelchair tennis. So shout out to them. Well done. And then you have Kazakhstan's Dastan Muskobov, who he won the bronze in the men's shot put. And that's not why it's impressive. It's what he was wearing while winning the bronze in the men's shot put. And it's just very impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what it looks like. Like, look at that.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So, yeah, right? Like, just don't know what to do there. And then just finally, history in the making. Team France won the blind football in a fairy tale ending for the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games and the Olympic Games in a whole. So shout out to all of those athletes. They are doing amazing, amazing things.
Yeah. Tennis in a wheelchair sounds intense.
Tennis in general is intense. Add a wheelchair to it, even more.
Like, I could not do that.
Eric, you can't play tennis.
Okay, yes, but I can, like, I know I can get to the ball and, like, make contact. I think in a wheelchair, not possible for me. Like,
Eric, you make contact, but it doesn't go in.
That's fine. That's not the point.
It's a very big point.
I'm saying I'm very impressed with the ability to make contact with the ball.
Look, I am genuinely impressed by it as well, but now I've like circled back to you're equivocally bad at tennis.
No one's denying this. I will score 1 point on you, Ankit, and you will get very mad. Watch.
Last time we played, you couldn't hit the ball in the court.
Well, now I can.
You've gotten better?
I think so. I haven't played in 5 years, but I think I'm better.
Right, because that's how it works. I haven't practiced anything in 5 years, and I've gotten better at than where I was when I used to try to play every week.
Okay, this isn't about me. This is about the Olympians here.
Look, the Olympians are significantly more talented than you and I are.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's everything. Catching up on what is going on in the world of sports. And I say we jump into some fun stories and shenanigans now.
All right. So I was going for early football in Washington State with this story. If you don't know, the University of Washington was founded in 1861 and Wazoo was founded in 1890. Both of them didn't really play each other. Like, you know, the Apple Cup, that didn't really start until 1900. So both these teams start 1890-ish. Researching for this, I was super surprised. Apparently agricultural colleges was just like the go-to name for everybody back then.
Lovely.
Like there was like Seattle Agricultural, Port Townsend Agricultural, Oregon Agricultural, Washington Agricultural. So Washington State starts out as Washington Agricultural. And they start, if you don't know about football in the 1800s, I didn't. Basically, it's this game where nobody knows what's happening. Everybody thinks, half the schools think they're playing rugby. The other half of the schools think they're playing football, but neither of them can agree. And half of the games are the refs are reffing the wrong style of game.
Lovely.
So just chaos. And to add to the chaos, they're only playing like 2 games a season. So nobody really...
Because why should they do more than that?
Why would you play more than 2 games a season? Like,
no, that sounds like a lot of work. They're here to learn how to farm.
Here to farm, we play the other farm school. Sometimes it's a high school, and we win or lose. Half the time we lose, and half the time we're playing the wrong sport. But hey, we're playing football, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. So for 11 years, UW plays 2 games a season, and then for 6 years, Wazoo's playing 2 games a season.
Mm-hmm.
Now back before the 1900s, there was zero rivalry between UW and Washington. UW and Washington State? Why is there no rivalry? It takes 16 hours to get between the schools.
You cut out. All I heard was zero rivalry, so go back from before 1900.
Okay. Okay, I'll get to that part. So before 1900, there is zero rivalry between UW and Wazoo. And why is there zero rivalry? It takes 16 hours by train to get between the 2 schools. So you have to take like a night train. There's nobody's getting between the 2 schools. No fans are going between the 2 schools.
It's like an 8-hour drive, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's no roads back then. Like there would be a couple roads. They didn't have cars that well. I mean, Model T's not even out yet, right?
Look. I'm just making sure that I have understood, like, just timeline that we're
I
like.
think it's 6 hours nowadays. I mean, if you get on a plane, I think it's an hour flight.
Yeah. But this was like early 1900s. They didn't have planes, 1900s. Right?
Right. Like they have to go. They have to go. Like, I'm pretty sure they have to go to Seattle to Spokane on a train, and then get the transfer train down to Pullman. And that whole process takes 16 hours. It looks like it was typically done overnight, according to. Again, I had to look up time schedules from 150 years ago to try to get the number right, because nobody just said it took 16 hours in any of the newspapers I was reading.
Nah. See, we go the extra mile on this podcast.
I knew somebody would ask, how long does it take?
You knew I would ask, how long does it take?
Well, why weren't they playing each other? Because of how long it took. So, UW really doesn't have any rivalries during this time. They're playing high schools. They're playing random agricultural schools. The only one that seemed to be playing consistently is Port Townsend. I'm sure that was a trip. I don't know how long, but I'm sure it was a trip, because I don't know how they got there. So I couldn't look up how long it take by boat, how long it take by. Yeah, they might have been canoeing. I mean, the rowing team for UW, way better during this time period, might have been rowing the football team over.
That's why they were so much better, is because they were the ferry service.
They were the ferries, yes. Official. This is officially recorded in our history book. UW rowing team rowed Washington State ferries.
Yes.
Okay. So during this time, the only really rivalry between for these schools is actually Wazoo versus the University of Idaho. Hopefully people know the positioning of those. One's in Pullman, one's in Moscow, Idaho. They're 8 miles apart. Very close. At least back then you could walk that distance. From what I can tell. Sounds like people didn't walk that distance, but you could.
You still can. Walking 8 miles is not that far.
It's not even a full day. It's like 2-hour walk, 3-hour walk, depending on your speed.
2-hour walk usually.
Yeah. If you're going to a game, you might not be hustling it. It might be 3 hours. You might stop and do something. I don't know. It's possible. So the first game between these 2 schools was in 1894. And Idaho, or Wazoo wins 10-0. At least they knew what sport they were playing. They weren't both trying to play different sports. And this was considered the first official game because they knew they were both playing the same sport. A year earlier, they both thought they were playing a different sport. Wazoo thought they were playing rugby, and Idaho thought they were playing football. And the officials just didn't know what to call, and so they were just calling like everything a foul. So They just cut the game mid-game. They're like, never mind. We're going to have to figure this out. So what I've learned here, organized sports were not organized back then. Just so you know.
Yeah. Putting that together.
Yeah. The next year, 1895, the game didn't happen because Idaho showed up a week earlier than the game was supposed to happen. And they said, can we just move it to today? And Washington said, no, our players are just not available today. Like, some of them are out farming or at agricultural school. So, yeah, they did not.
Lovely.
Yes. So, this rivalry was way bigger, way more popular, at least for Wazoo, until Idaho left what would be the early Pac-12. It was called the Pacific Coast Conference back then. Now everybody's left the Pac-12. In 1959. Gotta get my 18 and 19s right. So for game days, since there wasn't cars, the rail company would actually run special round trip trains. Mind you, only like 1,000 people are coming to these games, so it's not that intense to run an extra train.
Right.
Yeah, and like I said, it's only 8 miles. And this is where like pranks start happening. Is a little bit kind of like 1900-ish. Once they start playing more than 2 games a season and people are like, oh, football's actually a thing. And not like one newspaper said as football is dying in this part of the country. So when you're playing 2 games a season and then you say football is dying, I'm a little shocked.
Exciting.
It sounds like it hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's now starting. The first known prank was by Wazoo students who the prank wasn't really that interesting. All they did was on the flagpole at the University of Idaho, hang a flag that said, "These are the colors that shall triumph next Saturday." Not that exciting of a prank. The exciting part is in order to get to the University of Idaho, they stole a railroad car. Go over to the station, steal a railroad car with a flag that everyone's like, well, it's kind of a lame prank anyway, and hang up. So they were risking, I guess, grand theft train at the time.
Yes. Oh, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. Now, getting into the more exciting parts. If anybody's familiar with watching the games, when Wazoo wins at home, they ring the victory bell.
Okay.
It's just a bell. It was bought by the school in their first year order as the class bell. It was the class bell.
Oh, okay.
Like they would ring it to say, "Hey, class is starting." Now, how did it become the victory bell? Well, it's probably just somebody was like, "Hey, why don't we ring the bell?" But the urban legend is that somebody first rang the bell after a win against the University of Idaho when a drunk student fell against the bell so hard that they rang it. Now, this is a 1,000-pound bell. So I don't know if you've ever, fallen, but that's quite a fall to ring a 1,000-pound bell, I would think.
Yes, but also we are not the largest people in the world.
This is true. Now, I will also tell you another fact. The bell, until 1907, sat atop the college hall. So like in a bell tower.
Seems like the exact place that a drunk college student would go to drink.
This is very possible. Roof access was not restricted until, I think, the 1920s.
Fair.
So obviously this bell becoming the victory bell with this at least urban legend surrounding the bell of being first rung against the University of Idaho it was a dream of those students to mess with that bell in some way. Obviously, a 1,000-pound bell on a roof is a little difficult to steal. Even when it was moved to the ground level, it's still kind of bolted to the ground or concreted in some way.
What are you talking about? No, it's not. How dare you use logic?
So stealing this bell would require them carrying the bell. Again, cars are not popular, especially among college students even today.
Did you say bars?
College students. Cars, not
Oh,
bars.
cars.
Yes, cars.
Okay.
Bars are very
I'm like,
popular among
yeah,
college
that's
students.
where I got confused.
Bars are extremely popular among college students. Um, yes. So obviously stealing the bell was not the best, not the easiest option.
No, it might have been the best option. It wasn't the easiest option.
It wasn't the easiest. Probably just not really possible for most of the students.
Mhm.
So they instead turned to vandalism of sorts.
Yes, the great classic.
Yes. Often the bell's clapper would be stolen. That's the thing that rings the bell, I guess. I had to look that up.
That poor bell.
Yeah, the poor bell.
He's just chilling, minding his own business, trying to be a bell.
Trying to be a bell. Getting his clapper stolen so he can't ring. Can't even ring for class the next day. Yeah. And even on one occasion, they decided stealing the bell's clapper is too difficult. And so we'll just fill the bell with concrete.
This bell is just being abused.
Yes. So finally in 1920, there's students form a social organization called the Intercollegiate Knights. Their job, protect the bell.
How well did they do, Eric?
They did amazing. They did so well that one time a University of Idaho student convinced a knight that they were the watch replacement for the bell and then stole the bell clapper.
Doesn't seem like they were doing that good.
No, they were doing terrible. Now, less excitingly, obviously the University of Idaho has to have something to do, right? Like, what does Wazoo do when they go? They have to steal something, right? Or do something to the University of Idaho.
Right.
Luckily, the university. What's that?
There's got to be something. There's got to be retaliation.
You have to retaliate. Your bell's being vandalized. So luckily, the University of Idaho was donated 2 Civil War cannons.
Oh, not just one, 2.
Not just one, 2. They were being used solely as lawn decor because what do you do with 2 Civil War cannons as a university? You're not fighting in wars, so hopefully not fighting in wars.
Well, I don't know. They seem to be, and they're doing quite well currently.
Correct. I think they might have been doing better on the pranks, and we'll get into some more pranks here shortly from Idaho. So these cannons would just be stolen. Like,
okay,
they don't really need to do anything to them. They're not ringing. They're not. Also, they're on wheels. It's a lot easier to steal something on wheels.
Oh, well, that's just
And if I
that's
recall,
like, hi, come take me.
Yeah, right. If I recall, Civil War cannons were probably designed to move around.
Yeah,
by at least a horse, or maybe 2.
And horses, they had a plethora.
Plethora of horses.
No, but they had a plethora of horses.
Plethora of horses, yes. So that was, again, Wazoo, your students, you're a little boring back then. Like, come up with something a little exciting.
You're a little boring now.
Yeah, they don't do much in pranks that I know of. College students don't do pranks nowadays anyway.
No, nobody does pranks because everyone's too afraid of getting in trouble.
Yeah, stop getting everybody in trouble.
Just have some fun. Enjoy yourselves.
How bad is it really when somebody steals the bell clapper? Like,
honestly, did anybody get hurt? No. Is the bell clapper safe? Yes. Because they never broke the bell clapper. And it seems like the bell clapper always got returned because they kept stealing it.
It's no fun to steal the bell clapper and then not be able to steal it again.
Seems like they kept giving it back. They were like, look, we're just going to take it so that you can't ring the bell. And then, like, we'll mysteriously return it on, like, Tuesday.
Monday classes will be extremely confusing, but it's okay.
Everything will be back to normal on Tuesday. Enjoy. We're just here to make your life minorly inconvenient.
Yes.
Those are the best pranks.
So, where I think this gets a little more interesting is Wazoo didn't become the Cougars until 1919.
Wait, what were they until then? Like the Bobcats?
They were nothing. They were just...
They were nothing.
The Pullman people, the the WAC because they were Washington Agricultural College until like a little bit before 1919.
Fun.
Or Washington State College was another one. Yeah, so they were just just referred to by the school's name. Which all of this vandalism makes me think maybe Idaho's called the Vandals because of how much vandalism they were doing.
Hey, fair. Might be a possibility. I do not know, but I would not be surprised.
There was a newspaper article, and it said no, Washington and Idaho are a no vandalism, no cougarism zone. So that could be where this comes from.
Ooh. What does no cougarism mean?
I think it's a joke on vandalism because they're the Vandals. I think they were already the Vandals.
Okay. Hey, if they were already the Vandals, kids lived up to the name. If they weren't the Vandals, kids gave them a good name.
Right. So in 1919, when they became the Cougars, thus begins the tradition of Idaho messing with the cougar. Obviously.
Okay.
Now,
what do you mean messing with the cougar?
Well, they have cougars. They're going to mess with them. Now, at first, in 1919, there were 2 stuffed cougars that were wheeled out to the first game against Idaho, because that was the first game that they were officially called the Cougars. The game before is when they became the Cougars, and they weren't officially until the end of the game. Confusing. I don't know how it works. Naming mascots and naming schools. Interesting stuff. I'm sure there's a whole host more media I could have found on this. Yeah, so they wheeled out 2 stuffed cougars. Immediately they're messing with them, they're stealing them, whatever they can do. It wasn't until 1927 that they began mostly just messing with the live cougar, because Wazoo, yes, had a real life cougar until the late 70s as their mascot.
Oh, yeah. I see nothing going wrong here.
Now, this is great. I mean, more live mascots, please. Bring them back. Now, treat them nicely, but bring them back.
And maybe not a cougar.
Maybe not a cougar. I was thinking like eagle.
Yeah, eagle, you could domesticate a bird.
Yeah. Maybe use some sort of cat. I mean, the Seahawks have an eagle.
They do.
Or a falcon. Or
the Huskies have a dog.
They have a dog. Just get like a house cat.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Just get a cougar-looking house cat, and I think you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe not a full cougar.
No, full cougar.
Yeah,
because Wazoo, they're built different.
Built different. He did live where the now cougar statue is at Wazoo. I couldn't figure out how big the enclosure was. I'm guessing not very big.
I didn't even know that there was a cougar statue. I think I've been to Wazoo like once.
I might have been by twice. Yeah, I've seen the statue.
Can't even tell you what the statue looks like.
It's a cougar on a rock, looking like it's hunting prey.
Fascinating.
I could be entirely wrong if that's what it's doing, but that's what it looks like to me.
Was it the same cougar for 50 years, or did they have multiple cougars?
No, it was not the same cougar because they were frequently stolen. Like at least every 4 years, the cougar would go away. Were they always stolen by the University of Idaho? Not clear, but they were stolen.
Okay.
If there was just in the between 1927 and 1978, if there was just like a cougar petting zoo in Eastern Washington, I would not be surprised. And if all of cougars were just Wazoo cougars.
Just Wazoo cougars.
I would not be surprised at all. Somebody, a listener, please find out if there was.
Maybe your great-grandfather told you stories.
Yeah, maybe.
Let us know.
So, we do know that the University of Idaho was stealing these cougars because a couple of times the cougar would end up on the lawn of Idaho sororities. Yes.
Yes.
Including during the war when there was no football happening. Like World War II. No football happening. Still getting the cougar stolen.
Look, they needed a giggle.
Yes, I think on the better prank than stealing the cougar was when the University of Idaho students came over, and while the cougar was in its living enclosure, they painted it pink.
Yes.
Way better, way funnier. You just come by and your cougar's pink, and now you gotta wash this paint off.
Yeah, just poor cougar.
Yes, I feel bad for the cougar.
I feel bad for the cougar, but also objectively funny.
Yes, it is objectively funny. Again, I couldn't figure out what kind of paint, but it was paint. So in 1938, after this extreme vandalism spread and all of this, the local newspapers decide we need to get together and tell people, hey, stop. And this is what I told you about, the no vandalism, no cougarism. And so the newspaper editors decided the best way to stop this was actually to make a bet themselves. And the bet was that the losing school's newspaper editor will have to walk the 8 miles to the other school where shenanigans can happen, such as, haha, you're bad, or maybe throwing
name
or
calling and some tomatoes,
stuff like that. Maybe a little bit more kind-hearted and not vandalism, which is fair.
Sure. How did this go for the poor newspaper editors?
Obviously, the first year, the underdog actually won the game. So the unsuspecting newspaper editor had to walk the what's now known as the loser's walk. I don't know if it actually happens anymore because they don't play each other that much. Now this isn't, the first one wasn't that exciting. The one where Idaho upset Wazoo required a walk in 2 feet of snow from Wazoo to Idaho, and actually was met with cheers because you just walked 8 miles in the snow. What more can we do to you?
You have suffered enough. Come have some hot cocoa.
So it was like, a little bit more fun. The suffering is the 8 mile walk. Not much more needs to be done, especially when it's snowing.
And in Eastern Washington, when it snows, it snows.
Right. 2 feet of snow is probably on the nice side of snow.
Yeah. It's like, you have suffered enough. We can't do anything worse.
That is the story of early football in Washington State and the best rivalry I could find at the time.
That is lovely.
Yeah.
I also have a story of early Washington State sports.
Ooh.
However, I decided to go the professional route. So,
right.
Eric, have you heard of the Seattle Metropolitans?
I have heard of them because the Kraken have made it very well known they existed.
Okay. Did you hear about them before that?
No, not at all.
Okay. So, just some quick history on the Seattle Metropolitans. So, the Seattle Metropolitans were created and the brainchild of the Patrick family. Brothers Frank and Lester wanted to form a professional hockey team, and they were both professional hockey players who moved west to assist in the family's lumber business. For anyone that's not from Seattle or been up here, there's a lot of trees. So, especially in Western Washington, there are a lot of trees. So,
just a few.
Yeah, just we only have multiple national forests and national parks. With financial support, they got a new team which began to play in British Columbia in 1912, and things started to grow very quickly, and Seattle ended up joining the league in the 1915-1916 season. Now, as I was doing my research, I found a beautiful, beautiful little quote of how a expansion team usually functions. And it has 3 steps. Step number 1, accumulate a ton of average to below average players through the compensation drafts free agency.
Yes. That is how I know of it.
2, suck for around a decade.
Yes. Or 30, no, actually 50 if you're the Mariners.
3, eventually settling to some form of mediocrity, hovering around 500 with an off chance at a championship here or there.
So when will the Mariners get to that part?
Hey, they've got mediocrity pretty down.
Is this person claiming that the Seahawks are mediocre with 2 off chances of winning the Super Bowl? Is that what happened here?
No, this is just the general,
like I said, 3 chances.
Cookie cutter formula. Occasionally teams break this. Now, the Metropolitans were a team that broke this rule.
Oh.
Rather than going the conventional route, as it says in this article.
Conventional route.
The exact quote is, rather than go the unconventional route of signing, this is misspoken. Rather than go the conventional route of signing unknown talent and working your way up the ladder, the Mets instead decided to poach 5 members of the Toronto Blue Shirts roster, the defending Stanley Cup champions.
They just steal them and just you will now come to labor. Apparently contracts were extremely loose back then.
Woo!
Okay, wait, also, having a Seattle team be nicknamed the Mets just feels really weird to me.
That's why I'm going to be calling them the Metropolitans this entire time. Do not fear. Do not fear.
Do you know why they were called the Metropolitans? Did we find this out at all?
Did I what?
Did we find out why they were called the Metropolitans? It seems like a weird name for Seattle.
Yeah, I did not really figure out why. There didn't seem to be a good answer.
It's like, because we can.
Because it was a metropolitan city and a new one?
Fair. I mean, again, like the Cougars, I couldn't figure out why.
It's the best guess I've got. Yeah, they exist.
Okay.
Woo!
Okay. Fair.
Yes. So they just immediately stole players and were like, hey, we're going to have some fun. Now, they started off strong in their first season in 1915 to 1916, but they ended up faltering off towards the end, and they ended with a respectable 9-9 record, tied with Vancouver for second place.
Is this Vancouver just called a hockey team, or are they still the Canucks?
From what I can tell, it's the same hockey team.
Oh.
I might be wrong.
Okay.
But this is what I could tell.
So they tie the Canucks the first season, going 500, looking like mediocrity to start.
Well, I mean, not quite, because they started well, right? And by started well, they won 3-2 at home against Victoria in their inaugural contest, and then faltered quickly.
Nice. At least they won the first game.
But like, the positive note was that they finished with a 7-3 record in their last 10 games.
Great. That's very positive.
They were 2-6. And they were like, oh, hey, guys, we should do this thing called win.
They were getting into playoff form right before the playoffs.
Look. It was their first year of existence.
Yeah, but 4 of them just won the Stanley Cup the year before.
5.
5 of them. 5. That doesn't help their case.
So, they've done this, right? They have stolen the players. It's all going well. 1915, 1916. Now, in rolls around the 1916-1917 season. And oh boy, was this season one for the books. Now, with a win on the road in Portland. I couldn't figure out what the team name was in Portland. It was just the hockey team in Portland. Just Fair. Portland. In the final game of the season, because drama. Seattle sports can never not have drama.
Must have drama.
Must have drama. The Metropolitans managed to clinch the league championship on the strength of their 16-8 record.
Wow.
Now notice how we played 24 games, which is 6 more games than what we played last year. So yeah, they played more games. I put that with, there were more teams. Now, Bernie Morris, a member of the Seattle Metropolitans, led the league in scoring. Now, this is where I need some help because it says 37, 17, 54, and I don't know what that means.
30. You said 34, 17, 54.
You had every number except for 54 wrong. It was 37, 17, 54.
Okay, so 37 plus 17 is definitely 54. Okay, so 30 goals, 17 assists, and that's for 54 points.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So the first one is goals scored, second one is assists, third one is total.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, cool. Fantastic. So yeah, he did great. And meanwhile, Frank Foyston, fantastic name, came back after a disappointing 1915-1916 campaign and finished third in the league in scoring with 36-12 for a total of 48.
Okay, this is great because these are considered good numbers today.
Yeah.
Oh, and they play 82 games.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Apparently the games are 11 to 20.
Oh, I'm about to tell you what these game scores were for the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
They're impressive. They're impressive.
So goalies weren't a thing back then, I see.
No, goalies were a thing. They were just not good, apparently.
Well, they probably weren't wearing face masks, so I don't blame them.
No comment. So, now, because they won this championship in the league, it gave them the right to host the winner of the NHA for the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
And by March, it was the Montreal Canadiens, and they were headed west for the series.
They're still playing today. Okay.
They are. They've
been around.
Now, up until now, there has always been one constant, and that is at the end of the year, a Canadian team raises the Stanley Cup.
I mean, fair. I think that's kind of the assumption a lot of times.
Yeah. If the Russians were closer, they might have won.
They're just in a league with the Russians. At least back then it wouldn't have been as weird, but
still would have been weird, dude. They wouldn't have been able to get to a game. Now, in the first game, they had a game, and it was a very high-scoring game. Do you want to guess what the score was?
Based off of what the players were scoring, I'm going to go with 9-10.
Ooh, you were very close on one of those numbers. It was a blowout. The Metropolitans, I'm so sorry. The Metropolitans did not win. They lost 8-4 to the Canadiens. And, down, by a game, most fans already threw in the towel because Seattle sports can never have anything nice.
We're not winning now.
It wasn't even just we're not winning. It's going to be a sweep, isn't it?
One game, it's going to be a sweep.
It's going to be a sweep. It's going to be a sweep. Bernie Morris did score 3 out of the 4 goals that the Metropolitans scored in that game.
Way to go, Bernie Morris.
Bernie Morris said, "Not today, boys." The rest of the boys said, "No, today." So, he then was like, okay, this team needs a pick-me-up, and we're going to have some fun. So, Bernie Morris decided that, we must win convincingly. So, in the 9th minute of the first period in Game 2, he scored. Opened up the scoring.
There we go.
Right? Yes. And then Wilson scored, made it 2-0 for Seattle after the first period. Now, Morris and Foyston scored in the second period, put Seattle up 4-0 after 2 periods. And then Frank Foyston scored twice in the third to complete his hat trick and give Seattle a 6-0 lead.
Wow.
In the third.
What a turnaround from the game before.
Yes. I mean, they did let in a goal because Tommy Smith of the Canadians had to spoil the shutout. And, you know, they did allow in a goal because they were playing more defensively. They were like, yo, we have 6-0. We should maybe just make sure they can't score 7 goals.
Fair.
Yes.
Especially when the goalie's not wearing a face mask.
Right. Like, let's help out our goalie friend. Now, frustration boiled over at the start of the third period, though. And there was a fight between Roy Ricky and Billy Coutu before Harry Mummery jumped into the fray.
Okay. The names are just so great.
They're so good.
Way better.
They're so much better than what you have nowadays. But yeah, it's impressive. Now, that was game 2. They won game 2. Beautiful. If I didn't mention this, it's a best of 5 series at this point, not a best of 7 like it is anymore.
And they don't change cities. It's all in one city.
From my understanding, it's all in one city. They weren't going back and forth.
Like, give Seattle the home ice advantage because they're gonna need it.
I mean, Canada always wins.
Exactly.
And again, like we said, transportation, not the easiest thing in the world.
No, I'm sure it also took like 400 hours to get across the country.
Yeah, and you're not even going across the country. You're going to a different country.
Yeah,
so
you had to go to New York, then transfer to Toronto. Yeah, it'd been crazy.
Yeah. Montreal, not Toronto.
Oh, well, you probably had to transfer to Toronto and then go to Montreal.
You probably had to go to Toronto to then get to Montreal.
Yeah.
So, game 3. The game was played at a fast clip, and there were no goals for the first 10 minutes.
Oh. You made me think just completely no goals just the whole time. No one scored. In this high-scoring version of hockey, nobody scored.
Nobody scored for the first 10 minutes. And then Morris scored after 10 minutes and was like, hi. Now, here is the thing, though, is in my research, I found out that the goalies did exist.
Good.
Because the goaltender for Montreal, Jorge Vezina, made several big saves.
Several big saves. How?
This is the information I was able to find.
If anybody's ever read old news articles, they're like, and then this happened. And you're like, okay. It'll be like, and they threw it really long. Got the yards? Or it was a hard shot. With the placement of the shot, where he shot it from.
He shot it from far.
And they also use nicknames. And so you'd be like, this guy's not on the roster. I looked up the roster. They'll be like, Billy the Kid. You're like, nobody's named Billy.
It's just like, you know, Billy the Kid, whose real name is Robert Thatchery.
If there's even a guy named Robert on a team.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm just saying that's how absurd some of these nicknames are.
Yes. Like, who is this guy?
William to Billy is one that I still don't get, but I understand how we make that leap.
Yes.
Anyway, so Morris has scored. Vezina has made several big saves to hold Seattle off from scoring. Now, we're back to our friends Coutu and Ricky, and they had their fight of the series, and it wasn't just another fight, it was their third fight of the series.
Yeah.
We are 3 games in. These two don't like each other. Now, I don't know what happened in this fight, right? I tried to find it, but
of course.
Could not find information about this fight. However, I did find out that Coutu was given a 20-minute penalty, and Ricky was only given a 10-minute penalty.
I think I know who won.
Yeah, I think Coutu won the fight.
A 20-minute penalty.
Isn't that a whole period?
It's a whole period, yeah. You've done too good. Just sit down. The other player can't play. We're giving him 10 million touches. He can't play the rest of the game, though.
Yeah, so that was the second period. Because they fought in the first, and then they were punished in the second, or they fought at the very beginning of the second, because the Canadians then held off Seattle for the rest of the second period, ensuring that Seattle's power play ended with only them down by 1.
Hey, they actually have a power play back then.
Yeah.
I mean, our team actually can score.
They used to be able to. So the Canadians held off Seattle at the power play, and then our friends Foytson and Morris were like, you know what? A 1-0 lead seems like it's slightly too close. Let us score a little bit. So Foytson scored 5 minutes into the third period. Morris tacked on a couple of extra ones, finishing his hat trick, and was like, yay!
We love hat tricks.
They did end up winning the game 4-1.
Nice. 4-1.
Yes.
On this fighting bit, I'm realizing nowadays you get 5 minutes for fighting. And I think this might be where the band name 5 for Fighting comes from. I don't know. Look
5 for Fighting?
Yeah. Isn't there a band name 5 for Fighting? Or am I crazy?
What is 5 for Fighting?
Well, you get 5 minutes for fighting.
I think you're
I
crazy.
think there's a band. I think I'm crazy, maybe.
No, 5 for Fighting is a song.
Oh, it's a song. Okay.
No,
Okay.
it's wait, hold on. It is an American singer, songwriter, and pianist, Vladimir John Ondrasik III, who's also known by his stage name 5 for Fighting.
There we go. Maybe that's where he got his name from.
Because Vladimir Ondrasik, very much an American name.
It sounds like a man who watches hockey.
Yes, it does. So, lovely. Now, going into this final game, right? Game 4. Spoiler alert, it's game 4. But also, this game happened over a century ago. I don't feel bad about spoilers. So, now...
I cannot watch this game recorded.
No. So, in an individual rush is how my article has claimed this. Morris put the Metropolitans ahead early in the first period. Lovely.
Okay.
The Canadians tried to fight back. Seattle did that thing called playing defense. Did not let them fight back.
Defense.
Seattle then scored 3 times in the second period to put the game out of reach. And in the third, they decided, nah, let's have some more fun, and scored some more.
Good.
Now, the final score of this game was 9-1.
Oh my. What a Stanley Cup.
To win the Stanley Cup. And
Nice.
Seattle was the first American team to hoist the Stanley Cup.
The first and the last amazing thing Seattle sports has done.
Hey, we won a Super Bowl in 2013.
This is true. Second,
And the Sonics won a thing in
they did
this
too.
77 season.
Yeah.
77, 79, or 80. I don't know. They won a championship. The Storm are really good.
True. So are the Rain. Okay. I'm wrong. I'm very wrong.
No. It was the Sounders. The Rain haven't done anything, have they?
Maybe they haven't.
I don't know. Well, they used to have Abby Wambach and Megan Rapinoe. So,
I mean, I was at the Sounders game where they won the continent, and I just said that this was the only good thing that ever happened. So this is on me. This is on me.
Maybe you need to change your phrasing.
Yes. I'm just disappointed in right now. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, fair. So just some fun stats, right? Bernie Morris himself accounted for 11 of the 19 goals for Seattle
In the Stanley Cup.
in the Stanley Cup. Fine, in the series.
Crushing it.
And 14 of 23 for the whole series.
So you had more than half of all goals scored by both teams.
Yes.
Decisive victory.
At the time, this was the most dominating finals performance ever seen. Who has a better one?
Since then?
Yeah, because here's the thing, is
I'm
the
sure that was
article
sweet.
is just like, at this time, it was the most dominating thing. And then the next sentence is just, in the century of play since, Bernie Morris's dominating performance, the closest anyone has gotten to even sniffing his record is 9 goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. Morris
so it's
still holds the record.
still the best. They play more games now too,
Yeah,
so
he
there's
still
more
holds the
opportunity.
record.
Decisive. I challenge all NHL players to beat this record within the next 5 years. I'd like to see it. I think it'd be crazy.
Do it. Do it.
Be a Kraken player, please.
Yes. Now here is the thing, is that in that game 4 where they won 9-1, Bernie scored 6 goals. He had a double hat trick.
I don't think I've ever heard of a double hat trick until right now.
Apparently, in professional hockey, it has only happened 8 times.
8 times.
That a player has managed to score 6 or more goals in a game.
Wow.
Obviously, they have never seen me play NHL, whatever, because I'm really bad at the game and can only score on like 2 different moves. So I have like 2 people who are really good at scoring and everybody else who just kind of skates around the ice.
You haven't seen me play hockey in a video game.
Virtually.
Virtually, I'm the best.
Yes. No. I don't even claim as that. I just claim that I can break this record.
Virtually alone, you're the best.
Yes, virtually against the computer on like pro mode, I'm the best. The moment you get past pro mode, I'm probably losing. I don't play that game very much. I've played it like twice. Over like at 2 distinct times in my life.
Okay.
I don't play it very often.
I played it a bit.
Yeah. I think one of the times I played it was with you.
Probably.
Now
on Game Pass, so I just play it there.
Fair. I've been so busy since I moved back, I haven't even been able to pull out my Xbox. I haven't touched video games in the last 2 months, and it makes me sad.
Fair.
Yeah. Been running around like a headless chicken. So, anyway, do you want to know a couple of other fun facts about this 1917 Stanley Cup win?
Yes.
Bernie Morris not only did the 6 goals, he's the only one to have ever done it in a playoff game, but he also did this in an elimination game for the Stanley Cup Finals.
He scored 6 before the Stanley Cup Finals.
No, he scored the 6 in like the final game, which was to eliminate the other team. My understanding of how this article was written.
Okay, it confused me.
Yeah, I agree, because usually like elimination game is saying that like you did this as the team that would have been eliminated.
Right.
But I'll take
Wording has changed.
Wording has changed. That's okay. Now, a fun fact. If Bernie Morris was the only one to score, Seattle still would have won the Stanley Cup in 4 games.
4. Oh, yeah, because first to 3. Okay, yeah.
First to 3, right? So they still would have lost the first game 8-3.
Right. Okay.
But then if only counting Bernie Morris's goals, they still would have lost the first game, right? 8-3.
Right.
Now you only count the goals that he scored, not even the goals that he has assisted on, just the goals that he scored. They would have won game 2, 2-1. They would have won game 3, 3-1, and they would have won game 4, 6-1.
Just working his way up. There was a game 5. Hold on.
Nah, Bernie just said, I don't need a game 5. I am tired. I want to go home.
Game 4 is like, I'm done.
I am done.
Decisively end this game myself.
Right. Now, sadly, the next year they don't do as well, but whatever. It happens. They won, and they are the first American team to win the Stanley Cup, which is huge. Now, coming off of this, the Canadians didn't think that they were going to lose. So they had won the Stanley Cup last season, and they didn't bring the cup to Seattle.
Just happened. Back in Montreal. No, we don't need to bring that. It's not going anywhere. We'll grab it when we get home.
They didn't bring it.
Perfect. That is we have this locked in mentality of early sports that you love.
So they didn't bring the cup. And so it was going to be months before the players got to finally see it.
And then now there's a rule. Must bring cups. We don't care if you think you're going to win.
Yeah. Now, the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look up what happened to the Seattle Metropolitans and all of that, go for it. I just wanted to focus on the greatness that was this season. And, you know, the last thing that I wanted to leave y'all with was the pay, because I was able to figure out what each of the players from the Metropolitans were paid in winnings, and it was $180.
So that's like $5,000 now.
Yeah, I did the math. Yeah. I went to inflation calendar, first one that popped up when I searched for one, right? And $180 in 1917 is equivalent to about $4,423.22 today.
Okay. That is not a lot, especially when they make millions now.
Meanwhile, there's me, and I'm like, I would love to get a paycheck of $4,000.
I mean, that's a great payday for 4 days of work.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, 4 days of work for that, because like that wasn't their yearly salary. Right. That wasn't like anything else. That was just what they earned in winnings.
Right.
It's like, hey, you won, you're getting this much.
That seems like a lot. That actually feels like a lot of winnings, because like these weren't televised games, so there's not a lot of ad revenue.
No, and do you want to know the impressive thing?
Maybe radio ads?
Is that the fourth game was played in standing arena only.
Oh, that's crazy. They I think if I remember, they played in like some like shed building downtown Seattle.
Oh yeah, it was not a big arena.
No, it's like that'll work. Just put some ice.
Do you want to know what the name of the arena was?
Yes, I don't know what it's called.
The arena. It was officially called, and where the games of the finals were played was at Seattle Ice Arena.
Seattle Ice Arena. Okay.
Nicknamed the Arena.
The Arena. I when I was looking through articles for this one, I was like, where'd they play? The baseball park. I'm like, yes. Okay, but yeah, well, which baseball? Now, the baseball park. I'm like, okay.
There is one more thing, because we were clowning on the goaltenders, right?
Yes.
And I want to give the flowers to the Seattle Metropolitans goaltender, because he also got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Hap Holmes recorded a 2.9 goals against average for the Metropolitans.
Not bad. Not bad, when it seems like everybody was getting scored on a lot.
Hey, he got scored on a lot in game one.
Yeah. No, right? He did good in the
and then he was like, oh, I should stop that puck. That would probably help us.
He probably invented the face mask.
Yeah, he probably had the idea of like, if I protect my face,
I won't be scared.
Do better, and I won't be as scared.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely the invention of that, vital piece of equipment, I would say, was invented in between games 1 and 2.
Probably.
Yeah.
The other goal is like, wait, what's this guy got? Is this legal?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was how the Seattle Metropolitans did, in fact, win the first Stanley Cup for an American team. So, Kraken fans, if anyone says that Seattle has never won the Stanley Cup, they are technically wrong.
Technically wrong.
Now, if they say that the Kraken have never won a Stanley Cup, they are 100% right.
100% right.
But if they say Seattle, use this information against them. And if you're not a Seattle Kraken fan, but you hear someone say this, Here is some knowledge. Have some fun. Entertain yourself.
The first Seattle expansion team did win a Stanley Cup.
And they won the first Stanley Cup for an American team.
Boom.
Granted, the Canadian teams do still win a lot of the Stanley Cups. They are slightly good at this thing called ice hockey.
I'm sure the Canadians got their cup back the next year.
Probably. Let me look up who won the Stanley Cup in 1918. 1918 Stanley Cup Finals. It was, let's see. No, the champions were the Vancouver Millionaires. So that's what they used to be called.
Ooh. They were not getting paid $1 million though, but okay.
No. Yes. Also, it is not the same team as the Canucks.
Okay. That's like naming your team the Seattle Trillionaires nowadays. Like, that's so crazy.
Wild. On that note, thank you all so much for listening. If you got to this part of the episode, like, subscribe, hit follow, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the episodes. It really does help us out. We want to make this better for you, the listeners. So thank you so much for listening. And be sure, follow us on social media, Co-op Forge and Seattle Across the Pond, SATP Sports. Fun things happening over there. But until 2 weeks from now, when I'm sure that we have more shenanigans happening. We are unsure of what shenanigans, but shenanigans will be a happening. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.